Hey hoes, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kenzie Rogers and welcome to day 1 of 31 days to Halloween, where I am posting a video every single day in the month of October as a countdown to Halloween. So today's video, quickly, I'm sitting in front of a window so it's natural lighting. I usually film in front of a ring light, so I hope the lighting is okay. Second, today's video, I will be talking about a well-known true crime case. I wanted to start the countdown with this particular case because I was actually in Florida while they were searching for this little girl. And it's always stuck with me ever since. And it has become a case that is worldwide known. That makes any sense. So if you haven't guessed it already, today I will be talking about the Caylee Anthony case. Before we get into this terribly sad case, I might be looking down quite a bit because that is where my notes are. I also want to disclaim that all of this information is coming from the internet. I did my research, I read articles, I watched a bunch of videos, etc. However, I have no connection to this case, therefore all my information that I am giving you guys today is public information that you can find all online. Because like I said, I don't know this family, so I don't know any of the information, so none of this information is my own, if that makes any sense. So let's get into the tragic case of Caylee Anthony. First, we have to talk about Caylee's mother, Casey. Casey Anthony was born to George and Cindy Anthony March 19th of 1986 in Ohio. Casey also had a brother named Lee. However, Lee is not involved in this story, so I didn't do any research on him. I'm not sure how old he is. He could be older, he could be younger than Casey. He isn't mentioned in the rest of this video and really not mentioned in the rest of this case. I couldn't find an exact year, but eventually the family did move out to Florida. They moved to Orlando, Florida, where this case takes place. Growing up, it is said that Casey was a normal little girl. However, her close friends and family quickly realized that she has a lying problem. Big lies, small lies, you name it, Casey loved to lie. I believe it's called a compulsive liar. Anyway, just to show us how big some of her lies really were, she couldn't graduate high school because she didn't have enough credits. However, she didn't want to tell her parents this because it's kind of embarrassing. Like, you thought you were going to graduate, you didn't. So instead of fessing up to her parents, she let her parents go to the graduation, even though Casey could not. So, by the way that I read it, it sounds like Casey couldn't attend graduation at all. Like, I know from my school, if you didn't have enough credits to graduate, you could still walk across the stage, you just wouldn't get the diploma. But the sounds of it, Casey couldn't even do that. Casey didn't attend this graduation. However, she didn't tell her parents until after the ceremony that she could not graduate. Another lie that she told was people started to assume that she was pregnant. She was gaining weight. She was showing all the signs of pregnancy, but also her parents and family thought that it could just be her partying habits. Casey denied being pregnant several times, but 6 months in, she admitted that she was actually pregnant. So she told her parents and her family that she was pregnant when she was 6 months pregnant. Like I said, when it finally got to the point where she couldn't hide her pregnancy anymore, she fessed up and told everybody that she was pregnant, and she was already 6 months. I'm sure these lies really don't seem that big in the grand scheme of things. I personally know people who have hid their pregnancies for a long time, or people who didn't tell their parents they couldn't graduate, or people who didn't tell their parents they got a DUI. Like, kids lie to their parents, it happens. Like, these lies don't seem too bad when you think about it, but once we get into this, you'll see why I mentioned it. It's just she has a habit of lying. So Casey was pregnant, and it is said that initially she wanted to give her baby up for adoption, but her mother, Cindy, had convinced her otherwise. Cindy convinced her daughter to keep the baby and that she could move in with her parents, Cindy and George, and they would help raise the baby. That is exactly what Casey did. She kept her baby and she moved in with her parents. So on August 9th, 2005, Casey gave birth to her daughter, Caylee Marie Anthony. I should also mention that Casey was a young mom. Not that this has anything to do with it. It's not that this has not that that's a bad thing, but just something that I should note. She was only 19 years old which when you think about it, maybe that's why she initially wanted to give her baby up for adoption. Is she is a young mom, she might have not been ready. It's quite clear she was not ready, but she initially wanted to give her baby up for adoption. Probably had something to do with her age as well. Again, I should also mention that her father was not known. The father of Caylee is still to this day not known to the public. Nobody knows who this father is. It is said that Kenzie had given a few options of who the father could have been, which included her then fiance, they're no longer together, Jesse Grund, as well as an ex-boyfriend that had sadly passed away in a car accident. It was determined later on that her fiance at the time, Jesse Grund, had a 0% chance of being the father of Caylee. So on June 16th, 2008, moving on, June 16th, 2008, Casey got into an argument with her parents and decided to take off with her then 2-year-old daughter, Caylee. The names are so similar. There's a number of theories of what happened during this next little time period. However, the most common theory is that Casey was partying a lot and just wasn't taking care of Caylee, which is evidence of what happens. But you guys can kind of get a grasp of my opinions on this case. However, I never found any solid evidence or information of what happened until July 15th, 2008. July 15th, George, the grandfather of Caylee and the father of Casey, receives a phone call saying that his daughter's car was impounded. So it means like somebody towed it and put it in the impound. And that somebody needed to come and pick up her car. And so I'm assuming the reason why the Anthony house got this phone call is because, remember, just a month prior, Casey and Caylee did live at home, so that's probably where her contact information still was. So George goes to retrieve this car, and it's a little bit weird because George says that Casey's purse and things were still in the car, as well as Caylee's car seat. So it kind of led to, well, where the hell are they? What are they doing? How is she transporting Caylee without a car seat? A bunch of questions started to come up, but it also was worrisome that a terrible smell was coming from the trunk of the car, and when George opened the trunk, there was a bunch of garbage bags, but he had worked with police in the past, I believe, and it smelled like a decaying body. It smelled like a dead body. So he was wondering where his daughter and granddaughter were, and I did read or watch another YouTube video that said Casey had been in contact with her parents prior, like throughout this past month. However, whenever the grandparents asked to speak with Caylee or to talk to Caylee or see Caylee, like FaceTime or whatever, Casey always came up with an excuse as to why Caylee could not come to the phone. So it seemed to me that the parents hadn't talked to or spoken to Caylee, same thing, talked to or seen Caylee, the granddaughter, since Casey took her that night. The day that George picked up the car from impound, Cindy had got in contact with Casey and demanded to know what was going on and where her grandchild was and why her car was impounded. Casey and her mom then went on a wild goose chase created by Casey because she didn't want to tell her mother the truth. After a while of going to see Caylee, Casey confesses that she hasn't actually seen Caylee in the past month. A month, yes. She hasn't seen her daughter in a month. Didn't report her missing, but it's been a month. Casey claims that she believed Caylee was taken by the nanny that she had hired. The nanny's name was, Zananda Fernandez Gonzalez. I hope I said that right. I'm very sorry. But later she is known as Zanny the nanny. As any grandparent would be, Cindy freaked out and she immediately called 911 to report Caylee missing. Now Casey claims she didn't want to go to the authorities to report her daughter missing because she didn't want the media to get involved. She didn't want the media attention, and she thought that she could handle the situation on her own. What parent ever thinks that? But okay. She thought that she could handle this and do whatever and get her daughter back by herself. So on July 16th, Casey is arrested, obviously. She's a terrible mother. But things get worse. The nanny, Zananda Fernandez Gonzalez, was never real. She never existed. She is a real person, however, she's not a nanny, and she did not take Caylee. Caylee never had a nanny. She was just another one of Casey's lies. Now, I don't know why she made up this lie. Well, yeah, I do. It's because she clearly harmed her child. But nonetheless, I don't know why she would have created this in her mind. Anyway, I just don't know why that happened. Like, why was it necessary to create a fake nanny? So needless to say, Casey Anthony, Mother of the Year, is arrested for child neglect, lying to investigators, and interfering with a criminal investigation. Casey had a bond hearing on July 22nd, and at this hearing, it is made known that cadaver dogs had smelled the odor of a human decomposition in the trunk of the car that was impounded, as well as in the Anthony's backyard. And her bail was set at $500,000, $500,000. A month later, her bail is actually paid by a bounty hunter named Leonard Padella, in hopes that Casey would help lead them to Caylee. But just 10 days later, on August 30th, Casey was arrested again for allegedly stealing and cashing in her friend's checks. Friend of the year too, cool. She is released again on September 5th, but was later returned to jail by the end of September 2008. So although they didn't find a body yet, Casey was charged with first-degree murder, as well as aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, and 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement. On October 14th, 2008. Okay, so get this. On October 24th, 2008, a forensic report was released to the public. This report stated that a hair strand found in the trunk of Casey's car, the one that was impounded, was insignificantly similar to a hair strand found in Caylee's hairbrush. An air sample was also taken from the trunk of the car, and again, it was found to have chemical compounds in the air that are consistent with human decomposition. Decomposition. Am I saying that word right? I hope I am. Not to kind of get away from the case, and just to go back to the point I made in the beginning of the video, as mentioned earlier, I wanted to start with this specific case because I was in Florida November 2008. I was in Orlando, Florida with my family, and I very vividly remember, I think that's the right word, I very, very particularly remember sitting on a bench and with my family, and a group of women, probably in their early 30s, late 20s, came up to us, and I believe it was 3 people, 3 women, when they were wearing these shirts. I found a picture online of the shirt that I specifically remember, so I'll insert it here. The case has stuck with me ever since, and at the time I was only 11 years old, and I remember constantly Googling this case, and on December 11th, 2008, the remains of a little girl were found. The bones were in a bag less than half a mile from the Anthony home. The bag of the remains were found in a wooded area by a utility worker named Ray Kronk. Ray initially thought it was weird to find a bag in this particular area, so he poked it with a stick. That is when a human skull rolled out of the bag. Still, Ray thought that it was some sort of Halloween decoration, and he picked it up. I believe picked it up with the stick in the eye socket. And then he realized that it was real, and he called authorities. A little over a week later, on December 20th, the remains were confirmed that they were Caylee Marie Anthony. Her death was ruled a homicide. However, they could not determine the particular cause of death due to the amount of decomposition that had taken place and the amount, like the shape that her body or her skeleton was in. They could not determine her specific cause of death. However, they did find duct tape around her nose, mouth, and jaw. The trial didn't start until May 24th of 2011, It was only a month and a half later, on July 5th, that Casey Anthony was found not guilty of murder. The jury took less than 11 hours and reached this verdict. Casey had spent a lot of time in jail already, so she was sentenced to 4 years in jail plus a $4,000 fine. However, she was given time served. Not sure how to phrase that, but she was in jail for a long time, so she had time served, and she only ended up staying in for 10 more days, I believe. So on July 17th, 2011, Casey was released from jail. That is the case of the very tragic and sad death of Caylee Anthony. Let's talk about some theories. So a theory that came up in court by Casey's team was that Caylee had died in the family pool in their backyard. That would explain why the dogs had found the scent of human decomposition in the Anthony's backyard. Like, the theory was that she had drowned in the pool. And their theory goes that George, the grandfather of Caylee, had covered it up. George found Caylee drowned in the pool, pulled her out, covered it up. That's the theory that her team brought up. Her team also claimed that Casey was molested by George, which developed her lying habit from a young age. Another theory is that Casey was still that wild child and never wanted a daughter. The evidence being that the month Caylee was missing, she never reported her missing once. She never mentioned to anybody that Caylee was missing. And she was, like, her credit card records, transactions, whatever, showed her shopping and drinking a lot and participating in hot body contests or whatever they're called. Another theory is that Casey wanted to go out, gave her whatever to knock her out and put her to sleep, and she just never woke up. Now, what do I think happened, you might ask? I think it's very clear that I think Casey killed Caylee. Sorry, like, I don't know how to put that politely. I don't know how to say that otherwise, and I don't know how anybody can think otherwise. She didn't want to be a mother. She didn't want to be a mother. She was 19 when she got pregnant. She wanted to give her baby up for adoption right off the bat, which Caylee would probably still be alive if that would have happened. She hid the pregnancy for 6 months. Also, I don't think I mentioned this, but a report that I read said that Casey did not seek medical attention or treatment, or didn't see a doctor for her pregnancy until she was 7.5 months pregnant. She didn't report her child missing for a month. She didn't report her missing because she was dead. Who doesn't report their child missing? She knew where she was because she killed her. She wasn't missing. Casey knew where Caylee was because she killed her. Anyway, she also made up this nanny lie after a lie. It was just lie after lie. Her case is so frustrating. At the end of the day, I do think Casey killed Caylee. I am sure I missed a lot of information and key points in this case. Tell me what you think down below, but please keep in mind that this is real family. It is a true crime case, so politely say what you say down below. I don't know how I can say it otherwise, other than Casey killed Caylee. Anyway, I'm sure, like I said, I missed a lot of information and key points of this case. However, there are plenty of other YouTube videos on this case. You can watch the entire trial on YouTube. So if you're interested in that, definitely search that up. It should come, it should be easily searchable. I hope I did this case justice. I hope I don't know. It was my first time doing a true crime case. I wanted to do this particular case, like I mentioned a few times, because I remember the search party. The search party came up to us. It was 3 women wearing Caylee's face on a shirt. Anyway, rest in peace, Caylee Anthony. She definitely deserved better. Yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys, I don't want to say enjoyed, but I hope you enjoyed. I am posting every day in the month of October, so make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.